Hello, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is so fantastic to have you with us today.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
Now, I have a bit of a confession to make right up front, and I have a feeling I'm definitely not alone in this.
Yeah.
I have what I call a graveyard of hobbies.
Oh, no. A graveyard.
Right in my hall closet, there's a ukulele I played for exactly 3 days. There's a stack of expensive watercolor paper that is literally still in the plastic wrap. And a half-written business plan from, I think, 2018.
We all have that closet.
You know that feeling, right? You start something entirely new, learning a language, starting a YouTube channel, whatever it is, and you are just buzzing.
Oh, yeah.
You buy the specialized notebook, you watch 50 tutorials, and you are absolutely convinced this is it. This is the thing.
It's the honeymoon phase. I mean, chemically speaking, it is very similar to falling in love.
Really?
Yeah, the possibilities just seem completely endless because, well, you haven't hit any actual resistance yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You haven't had to do the hard work yet. But then fast forward a week, maybe 2 weeks if you're lucky.
Right.
The adrenaline wears off completely. You wake up, it's raining outside, you're tired, and suddenly that beautiful new notebook looked like an absolute enemy.
The camera stays off.
The camera stays off. That wild excitement is replaced by this heavy gray slump. And usually, sadly, that's where the story just ends.
It is the universal drop-off point. It's what behavioral scientists might call the valley of death for New Year's resolutions.
The valley of death. Wow. Well, if you are listening to this right now and nodding along, the very first thing you want to tell you today is you are not broken.
Not at all.
You are just normal.
Yeah.
But today, we are going on a mission to actually fix that cycle. And to be clear, we aren't looking for those empty, rah-rah motivational speeches.
No posters of a kitten hanging on a branch saying, hang in there.
Exactly, no kittens. We want to decode the actual mechanics of motivation. We really want to understand why that exact slump happens, and more importantly, how to build a reliable bridge over it so you can actually finish what you start.
And to do that, we're diving into a really practical source today. It's titled The Habit of Hope: How to Stay Motivated in Life.
It's a great read.
It is. And what strikes me immediately about this material is just the title itself. It frames motivation not as a fleeting feeling, not as a lightning strike that just hits you, but as a habit.
A habit.
Yeah, something you construct brick by brick.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I think we have this pervasive cultural myth that highly successful people, the Elon Musks, the Oprahs, the top-tier athletes, are these sort of alien beings who just never get tired.
Right, the infinite battery pack myth.
Yes. We assume they were just issued this endless supply of energy at birth that the rest of us entirely missed out on.
That is easily the most common misconception out there, and it's a really dangerous one.
How so?
Well, if you truly believe that, then the very moment you feel tired or bored, you immediately think, oh, I guess I must not be cut out for this. You think it's a character flaw.
Oh, I see.
But the source makes a crucial distinction right out of the gate here. It's not that successful people don't get tired. It's not that they don't feel that exact same slump you feel.
Right.
It's that they have a completely different internal protocol for handling that fatigue. They just don't view the feeling of being tired as a stop sign.
So let's get into the anatomy of this thing.
Yeah.
How does our deep dive material actually define motivation? Because we throw that word around a lot, but it's just, wanting something really badly.
The text defines it quite simply. It's the energy inside that makes you move.
The energy to move.
Right. It's the biological and psychological force that literally gets you out of bed, makes you open that textbook, or forces you to try again after a really bad failure. But what's fascinating here, and this is where we really need to pay attention, is that the source splits this energy into two very distinct categories. And they are definitely not created equal.
Right. The external versus the internal. And I'll just be completely honest here. I think I run on the external one way more than I care to admit.
Most of us do. It's natural. This is external motivation. This is all the stuff that comes from the outside world. It's the paycheck. It's the praise from your boss. It's getting an A on the exam or winning some shiny award.
Or getting likes on a post.
Exactly. It's someone telling you, hey, wow, you are so incredibly talented.
And don't get me wrong, that feels amazing. It's like a drug. I absolutely love it when someone tells me I did a good job.
We all do.
So why does the source say we need to be so careful with this?
Think of external motivation exactly like a sugar rush or a massive caffeine spike.
Okay.
It hits hard and it hits fast. It gets you moving immediately. And the source explicitly calls this good. It's not a bad thing to want an award or to want to be recognized.
Right.
But here is the major catch. It has a very short half-life. It is completely fleeting, and more importantly, it makes you dependent.
Dependent on the audience.
Exactly. If your engine only runs on applause, what happens when the room is totally silent?
You just stall out. You stop working entirely because nobody is watching to give you that cookie.
Precisely. You are outsourcing your own drive to an audience that might not even be there tomorrow. Which brings us right to the second type. Internal motivation.
The good stuff.
The best stuff. The source argues this is the strongest kind of energy by far. This isn't the sugar rush. This is the slow-burning coal.
This is your why.
It is your why. It's your underlying purpose, your deep dream. It's wanting to provide for your family or drastically change your life situation, or even simply the pure desire to master a craft just for yourself.
Without anyone ever seeing it.
Right. The key insight from the text is that when the heart truly wants something, when you tap into that internal drive, nobody can stop you. External motivation is incredibly vulnerable to other people's opinions.
But internal motivation is bulletproof.
Exactly. It's bulletproof.
But, and this is where it gets really interesting to me, even that bulletproof fuel isn't magic. The source throws a pretty serious reality check at us right here. It says motivation, even the really good internal kind, is not a constant state.
Correct. And I want everyone listening to really hear this part. Feeling bored, feeling deeply confused, feeling completely exhausted. The source is very clear about this. This does not mean you are weak.
It means you are human.
It means you are human. Our entire biochemistry is fundamentally designed to conserve energy. The fluctuation of your motivation is a feature of your biology. It is not a bug in your character.
I just love that so much. It doesn't mean you are weak, it means you are human. Because when I hit that slump, my very first thought is almost always, well, I guess I'm just a lazy person.
That is the classic shame spiral. And the source wants to cut that off immediately. You have to stop blaming yourself for a natural biological drop in energy.
So we have the theory down. Internal versus external. The absolute inevitability of the slump. But let's see how this actually plays out in the real world. The source provides 2 narrative case studies that I think are super important, mostly because they don't just show the shiny success at the end.
No, they show the ugly middle part.
They really do.
These stories are great because they represent 2 very different paths. One is academic and one is entrepreneurial. But the underlying mechanic of using hope as a habit is completely identical in both.
Let's start with the first one, the student. Now, usually when we hear stories about students in these kinds of motivational texts, it's about some hidden genius who just breezed through school once they applied themselves.
Yeah, far from it in this case. This student wanted to be a teacher, which is a beautifully noble goal, but his reality was absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
The source describes him finding school incredibly hard. He was not naturally gifted in the way we usually think of it. He failed multiple exams. But the part that really struck me as heartbreaking was the social element.
Yeah, this part actually made me angry reading it. He had friends who openly mocked him. They explicitly told him to his face, "You are not smart."
That is devastating. We are highly social creatures. When your own tribe tells you you don't belong here or you aren't capable, that is a massive psychological weight to carry. It's not just about failing a math test anymore. It's about deep social isolation.
I mean, failing an exam is one thing. You can study more. But having your inner circle label you as not smart, that's exactly the kind of thing that makes people quit immediately. It confirms your absolute worst fear about yourself.
It really does. And the text says he cried at night. He genuinely wanted to quit. All the external signals, the bad grades, the cruel friends, they were all flashing neon signs saying stop.
Right.
If he had relied solely on external motivation, he would have stopped 100%. But here is exactly where that internal motivation kicked in. His why wasn't to get straight A's just for the sake of a report card.
His why was to educate children.
Yes. To help his community. He saw a vivid future version of himself serving others, and that internal vision was just a little bit louder than his friend's mockery.
So what was his actual method? How did he pull it off?
It wasn't some movie montage of endless sleepless nights and massive sudden leaps of genius. It was purely incremental. He studied a little bit every single day.
Even when he was tired?
Even when he was tired. Even when he failed a test the day before. He just kept physically opening the book.
And the result?
Years later, he's standing in front of his own classroom. He is a highly respected teacher. Parents are coming up and thanking him for helping their kids. But when he was asked for his secret, he didn't say, "Oh, I found a better study hack," or "I got a great tutor."
He said, "I remembered my dream every day."
Exactly. That connection to the dream, that deep internal anchor is what weathered the storm of all those failures.
Okay, let's look at the second story, the shopkeeper. This one really resonated with me because starting any kind of business is just terrifying. You are putting yourself out there in a very public, very vulnerable way.
It is terrifying. And this woman started with almost nothing, very little money, a tiny shop. And similar to the student, she faced the harsh reality of zero feedback. Imagine opening your doors on day one and nobody comes in for days.
That silence must be absolutely deafening.
Yeah.
And again, she had the haters people in her life telling her, this will never work, you're wasting your time.
It's so interesting how in both of these stories, the naysayers play such a big role. It really shows that if you wait for everyone around you to agree with your vision, you will literally never start.
Never.
Her motivation was deeply personal. She believed in herself and she desperately wanted to help her family financially. That was her internal engine burning away.
And her method was just pure persistence.
Persistence mixed with constant adaptation. She didn't just sit behind the counter waiting for luck to strike. She learned from her mistakes. She actively improved her customer service. She treated every single person kindly, even when business was agonizingly slow.
And it paid off.
It did. The source notes that after 5 years, and let's pause, 5 years is a very long time to grind like that. She had built a big business and was actually hiring her own workers.
The takeaway the source gives us here is so incredibly simple, it almost hurts to read. She did not give up. It sounds like a total cliche, but when you look at the grueling day-to-day reality of 5 whole years of struggle, not giving up is an active, almost violent choice against the constant urge to quit.
It is the ultimate active choice. It's a daily decision.
So we have the inspiring stories, we have the foundational theory. But we'd like to get really practical here on the deep dive. We need a toolkit.
Let's build it.
The source actually breaks down 7 specific strategies to engineer this habit of hope. And I want to really dig into these because some of them are a bit counterintuitive to how we normally operate.
These are the real nuts and bolts. If motivation is a house, these 7 strategies are the actual tools you use to build it.
Okay, strategy number 1, set clear goals.
This sounds incredibly basic, but the source heavily emphasizes the word clarity. Saying, I want to be successful is way too vague. Your brain literally doesn't know what to do with that information. It's like getting into a taxi and just telling the driver, drive somewhere nice.
Right. You're just going to drive in circles all day. The examples the text gives are concrete things like, I want to start a YouTube channel about cooking, or I want to run a 5K. It has to be definitive.
Which leads directly into strategy number 2. And this is the one I think is actually the most controversial for some highly ambitious people. Break big goals into small steps.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
I hear this advice all the time. Take small steps. But honestly, sometimes saying, I'm going to learn 5 new words today feels kind of pathetic.
Too small.
Yeah. If I want to become fluent in a language, learning 5 words a day feels like I'm standing completely still. It feels like it's going to take me 10 years. Does the source address that frustrating feeling of, this isn't enough?
It does, and it addresses it brilliantly. That feeling you were describing right there, that is just your ego talking.
My ego.
Yes. The ego wants the big, flashy win now. That was to say, I studied for 6 hours today. But here is the underlying psychology. Big goals trigger a massive fear response in the human brain. Learn English feels like you are standing at the bottom of Mount Everest. Your brain looks at that huge mountain, freezes in terror, and says, nope, way too dangerous, let's go watch TV.
So we procrastinate to protect ourselves from the sheer size of the task.
Exactly. It's a defense mechanism. But learn 5 new words. That flies completely under the radar of your brain's fear response. It's manageable, it's safe. You are essentially tricking your own brain into starting.
I love that.
And once you start, the momentum naturally builds. The reality is the alternative to small steps usually isn't taking big leaps. The alternative is usually giving up entirely.
That makes so much sense. Okay, strategy number 3 ties perfectly back to our earlier discussion. Remember your why. This is all about refueling.
Yes. When you are deep in the slump, taking a second to ask yourself, why do I actually want a better life? Restores that internal energy. It mentally reconnects the incredibly boring, mundane task of today, like waking up at 5 a.m. or doing annoying paperwork, with that huge, beautiful dream of tomorrow.
Now, strategy number 4 is easily my favorite because it completely flips the script on how society usually thinks. Create a daily routine.
Yeah.
But the deeper concept hidden in here is what we might call the action paradox.
This is undoubtedly the most important takeaway from the entire text for me. The source phrases this so beautifully. Action creates motivation.
Wait, hold on. Most people think it works the exact opposite way around.
Yeah.
I wait until I feel motivated, and then I act.
And that right there is the ultimate trap. The source says, no, that is completely backward. You cannot think your way into a new way of acting, but you can act your way into a new way of feeling. Even if you feel incredibly lazy, do something tiny. Read one paragraph. Practice for 2 minutes. Write one single sentence. The physical act of doing the thing actually generates the neurochemical feeling of motivation.
So it's exactly like pushing a broken down car. The hardest, heaviest part is just getting the tires rolling.
Right.
But once it's rolling, it's actually pretty easy to keep it moving down the street.
Exactly. It's basically Newton's law applied to human psychology. Objects in motion stay in motion. You have to force that very first bit of motion, even if you don't feel like it at all.
That is so powerful. Strategy number 5, learn from failure.
This is all about mental reframing. The student in our story failed his exams. The shopkeeper had days with absolutely no sales. The source urges us to see failure not as a dead end, but simply as raw data.
Yes, feedback.
Right. When you fail, the question isn't, why am I such a bad person? It's simply, what can I learn from this specific result?
That shift in questioning is everything. Now, strategy number 6 is a really tough one for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with positive people.
We saw the dark side of this in the stories, the friends who mocked the student. The source advises actively, intentionally avoiding those negative influences. And that is genuinely hard because sometimes those people are old childhood friends or even family members.
Yeah, you can't always just cut them off.
True, but you need to actively seek out people who act as batteries. People who charge you up, not people who constantly drain your energy.
And finally, strategy number 7, reward yourself. Now, see, this is exactly where I get into trouble.
Oh.
Because my definition of a reward after a really hard week usually involves ordering a pizza the exact size of a car tire and binge watching TV for 10 straight hours.
Well, the source is suggesting something a little bit smaller. We aren't talking about throwing yourself a carnival every time you check your email.
Right.
We're talking about creating a Pavlovian feedback loop.
So like having a nice cup of tea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drink a cup of tea, listen to one specific song you love, or literally just take a 5-minute rest with your eyes closed.
Why is that actually important, though? Why does a tiny cup of tea matter in the grand scheme of a 10-year goal?
Because your brain operates entirely on feedback loops. If you do 20 minutes of hard, focused work and then immediately give yourself a small, healthy pleasure, your brain subconsciously marks that work activity as good. It releases a tiny little hit of dopamine.
So you are essentially dog training your own brain to actually enjoy the hard work.
Precisely. You are conditioning yourself.
I'm definitely going to use the tea and music strategy way more often. So we have our toolkit, but let's just be real for a minute. Even with these amazing tools, there's still going to be those truly bad days.
Of course.
The source actually has a specific section on navigating the really deep slumps.
It does. It directly confronts the reality of feeling completely hopeless or utterly bored. It doesn't sugarcoat it at all.
So what does it suggest as an emergency protocol when you hit that wall?
It calls it the reset ritual. When you hit that wall, do not just push harder and burn yourself out.
That's what I usually do.
Most high achievers do, and it leads to breakdowns. The source says, stop. It lists physical resets. Take a deep breath. Go for a walk outside. Physically change the room you were sitting in.
Change the environment.
Exactly. And then mental resets. Listen to a favorite podcast. Read a quick success story.
It's all about rapidly changing your state. You can't just think your way out of a deep slump sometimes. You have to physically move your way out of it.
Correct. But while you are in that vulnerable slump, there is one very specific trap the source heavily warns us to avoid at absolutely all costs. And honestly, in today's world, this is the most dangerous trap of all.
The comparison trap.
Do not compare your life to others.
This is so incredibly hard with social media. You open Instagram or LinkedIn, and it just looks like everyone else in the world is winning.
They're getting promoted.
They're traveling to Europe, their new businesses are making millions, and here you are, sitting in sweatpants, struggling to just write one single page of a draft.
Exactly. But you have to remember, you're comparing your messy behind-the-scenes footage with everyone else's carefully edited highlight reel.
Right.
You see them on their chapter 20, and you unfairly judge your own chapter 1. The source explicitly reminds us, everyone has a totally different journey. Some people bloom early, some bloom late.
There is a key quote here from the text that I think everyone really needs to hear today.
You are not behind. You are on your own path.
You are not behind. That is so powerful because we constantly feel behind, don't we? That low-level anxiety that we're somehow running out of time kills our motivation faster than almost anything else.
It induces total paralysis. When you stop looking sideways at everyone else and just focus on your own 2 feet, you regain the actual power to move forward.
So let's bring this all together. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the raw biology of motivation to the practical 7-part toolkit.
Yeah.
We had to synthesize all of this for the listener who is maybe sitting in their car right now, feeling that exact slump we talked about. What is the absolute core message?
I think the main synthesis here is that motivation simply isn't magic. It is a mechanical habit. It follows action. It absolutely does not precede it.
It follows action.
Yes, it's not about waiting around for the stars to perfectly align or for you to magically wake up feeling energized. It's about the student physically opening the textbook while he's literally crying. It's about the shopkeeper forcing a smile for a customer when she's terrified about making rent.
It's about realized agency, realizing you actually have way more control over your own energy than you think you do.
Yes. And the source ends with a really strong message of empowerment. It tells the reader directly, you are much stronger than you think, and your story isn't finished yet.
And that is the absolute perfect segue to our call to action for you today. We don't want you to just listen to this deep dive, feel kind of good and inspired for 10 minutes, and then just go right back to scrolling on your phone.
No, the source explicitly challenges you to take one single small step today.
Just one. Open a book, write 1 page, help 1 person learn just 1 new word.
It doesn't have to be the whole mountain. Just take the very first step. Prove to your own brain that you can still move.
And here is a final thought we'd like to leave you with, something to maybe mull over as you go about the rest of your day. We've established pretty clearly that motivation follows action.
Right.
So consider this. What would actually happen to your life right now if you completely stopped waiting to feel ready before you made a move?
What if you treated the feeling of unreadiness not as a red stop sign, but actually as the green signal to go?
That is a terrifying but incredibly exciting thought. Stop waiting to feel ready. I think if we all actually did that, the world would look very, very different. Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive into the mechanics of motivation. We really hope you found some fresh fuel for your own fire today.
It was a real pleasure. Keep moving forward, everyone.
We'll see you in the next one. Take care out there.